They wanted, they wanted to encourage it. It was kind of a musical family. My mother was a singer with big bands. My older sister's an operatic soprano. So they sent me in for lessons, and I took lessons from 4 to about, I want to say 15. And, there's one thing about taking lessons like that. If you're not going to be a serious classical piano player, really what it does, it teaches you several things, but not the least of which, certainly the mechanics of playing, gives you a sense of melody and harmony, and if you're any good at all, you do the recitals, you do the competitions, so you learn about being in front of people at a really young age. After that, you go into high school and you're built a certain way, and you discover football and you discover girls and you still play music, so you discover all the other ancillary stuff that comes along with playing music in the early 70s. But where I'm from, Pasadena, was a hotbed of musical activity. I grew up with the Van Halen brothers. We were all homeboys. And we'd sit around and have these impromptu jams, just for recreation. And of course, impromptu jams invariably always start out around the blues, because it's a universal formula that everybody knows. So that was really my real first exposure playing the blues, was with Edward Van Halen. So you can imagine how my technique developed after that. I'm kind of known as a guy who, I can throw 32 notes in where 8 should do. Am I wrong? But really, my musical influences, they've been from Ramsey Lewis to Herbie Hancock to Brian Auger, Booker T, of course. Growing up in the 70s and playing in bands, you got the whole Keith Emerson thing, that whole progressive rock scene that kind of morphed for me into more of a fusion kind of thing, because at the time in LA, it was either disco or punk. Or, no, I'm not disparaging, I'm just relating. And, being a young musician, trying to find your way, there's a certain competitive arrogance, I should say, that you develop with your fellow musicians. So, of course, I fell into fusion. Because that was the most complex music you could play, and the good stuff actually had a groove to it. So that's kind of where I fell into that. And then, I've been playing sessions, touring with various bands, big and little. I was understudy for John Lord from Deep Purple back in 1975-76. It was the Come Taste the Band tour, and if anybody knows anything about Deep Purple at that time, it was a train wreck. So John Lord, not only did Richie Blackmore leave the band, etc., John Lord was not happy, and management happened to find me working at a studio in LA, and I got the gig being his understudy. Now, he always showed up for the gigs, but I did all the sound checks and all that. But it was my first exposure to that scale of touring. And back in 75, 76, that was pretty much the zenith of the whole rock star tour thing, private jets, all that, you know. Yeah. Oh, well, that lasted well into the mid to late 80s, speaking personally. But there was that. I did a short West Coast run with Etta James. You know, contrary to popular belief, I got along great with her. You know, she kind of had a reputation of being difficult, and I had a great time with her. I played with Al Green for a short tour until I got fired. According to management, I was too flamboyant, and that I took attention away from Reverend Al. Well, you know, I learned valuable lessons. But I played with all kinds of people throughout the years. And about 10 years ago, some friends I was playing with, including the late, wonderful Lavelle Jones, wonderful drummer who passed away last year. I played with him for a number of years, and there was an opening in the Sugar Ray Rayford band for a keyboard player. So I came by. It wasn't a real audition. He was playing a gig at a club, and they invited me up to play. And if you know anything about Sugar Ray, you know his material isn't strictly classic blues, particularly his original material. So they brought me up, and they started throwing these original songs at me that I had never heard before. And they did it because Sugar Ray wanted to see how I would react under pressure. Well, I've been playing, as of now, I've been playing professionally for nearly 50 years. So, there, thank you. So there isn't a lot out there that you can throw at me that's going to shake me. So anyway, he was impressed, and I've been playing with him for the last 10 years. I'm his musical director because he respects his elders. But that's pretty much my story. I mean, I'm fit for little else than playing music. So whether I want to or not, this is where I am.